We're doing more Great Ace Attorney Case 3 today. And, if you guys hear my alarm go off, it's because I'm doing laundry right now. So, I probably gotta go do laundry in like 40 so minutes. But that's okay. Anyways, we are going to continue Case 3 because I actually figured out what I need to do. Also, I'm going to adjust my mic because I think the reason why I was so quiet in the last few streams was because my mic had reset its volume again to 75, which is really random. I usually have it around 81 or so, and I hate it when my mic changes its volume without my permission. Sometimes it goes to like 70, sometimes it goes up to 100. So if the audio quality gets all over the place, that's because I just didn't even notice. I have to check it like every day at this point to make sure. But yeah, I figured out what I needed to do. And it's pretty simple actually. I'm just really dumb. Also, there's no music in here, which is really weird. So, yeah, we're going back to the experimentation stage because I forgot something obvious. And I can't believe I missed this. But I didn't examine this cloth here.
Oh, look, what's this? It's a ripped piece of cloth.
It's not like any fabric I've ever seen before. It's very thick and stiff. Looks extremely durable.
It's canvas, I think, with some sort of rubber backing. And the edges appear to be a bit charred as well.
Maybe that means it had something to do with the explosion.
Let's make note of it while Guinea's mid-yawn.
So yeah, we got the piece of green cloth. I don't know what that's all about, but... yeah, I completely overlooked that, so... boy, am I dumb.
Bruno, listen.
What? What is it?
I've been thinking. Haley might know something, mightn't he?
About what?
About Miss Arepa.
About what happened to Lord Van Zeeks, you mean? Because it sounds like something very significant occurred after he graduated from university. Something that completely changed his life. Maybe, but I have no idea where to find Mr. Sholmes at the moment. He's in the middle of some big case, isn't he?
Here, this is what you need.
What's this? Some kind of entrance ticket? Madame Tuspel's? Is this supposed to mean something to me?
You don't know it. It's the most popular attraction in London at the moment. It's very close to Baker Street, actually. We could go now if you like.
No, we don't have time for visiting attractions today, Iris. We have a big trial tomorrow.
But that's where Haley is.
What? At this popular London attraction?
Yes.
How is it that you know where he is?
Haley told me, but he told me to keep it a secret from you, Bruno.
Madame Tuspel's? I don't see how it could be related to the case we're investigating here, but then... stranger things have happened, and when they happen, Mr. Sholmes is usually at the heart of them. Well, I guess that's where we're going now, ain't we? Yes, that's all I needed was to examine that cloth, and now all of a sudden, oh, I can go to a new place. Tuspel Museums of Waxworks? What the frig? What is this place? Look at all these terrifying scenes. But why are all the people so still? Guillotines? Ruthless murders? I know what I'll be dreaming about tonight.
They're all wax models. They're amazingly realistic, aren't they? What do you think, Bruno? Shocked?
Wax models? Oh! I read about dead bodies in wax once, in a magazine about strange phenomena. Depending on how corpses are kept after death, parts of them can turn to wax, apparently. It's called, a dipsir. I don't know what that word is.
Stop talking about creepy things like that, Bruno. You're scaring me. Anyway, Adipokia doesn't form readily, you know? It's only— oh! What now?
I've just remembered something else I read in another magazine about strange phenomena. There was an old lady, maybe a witch, who used to pour molten wax over corpses and put them on display.
None of the exhibits here are real.
I mean, even I can tell they're kind of like cutout models.
They're all entirely man-made replicas.
That can't be. Do you really expect me to believe that? Just look at him.
Oh,
There's no way anybody would make models of people that are this realistic. And they're all such gruesome scenes. Oh, wow. It's really funny because Mr. Sholmes stands out. He's not that realistic, I guess. Wait.
what is it?
Oh, no. I must be seeing things. Hey, there's an arm. It looks like an arm. Aim for the arm down there. Is this an arm?
It looks like an arm, doesn't it? Maybe one of the waxwork models have fallen over.
You don't think it could be the work of one of the mass murderers in here, do you?
Bruno, stop scaring me.
Is it a wax arm or a real one?
Come on, you're always pointing that finger of yours in court. Hook that arm now and see how it feels.
Objection. Oh yeah, I don't know when else I'm gonna get to talk about this, so I'll just go on about it now. But I finished watching Sailor Moon S last night, and wow, what a finale, man! I won't spoil it, obviously, but I think Sailor Moon S might be my favorite arc so far. I mean, maybe it just has to do with the fact that I really like the outer Senshi, and I like their inclusion. And I watched the first episode of Sailor Moon Super S, and so far it's kind of a downgrade. But I don't know. I won't be so quick to judge because I haven't seen all of it yet. But I don't know. Like from what I've seen, it doesn't look like it includes the outer Senshi. It's more of a focus on Chibiusa and Usagi, it seems. But I guess I'll see how that goes. And that also kind of does remind me. Iris kind of reminds me of Chibiusa now because they both have pink hair and they're like little girls that are very smart and stuff. I made that joke about Anya in the last game, and now I'm thinking of Chibiusa instead of Anya, so yeah. I figured I'd get that out of the way because it's gonna be on my mind all episode if I don't do it now. That big heavy curtain's in a very prominent position, isn't it? I have a nasty feeling there's going to be something truly terrifying behind it.
Oh yes, that's the famous Hospital Spells exhibit. It depicts one of England's most notorious killers. Do you want to pay an extra fee and have a look?
Pay more money to be even more terrified? Ooh, let me think about that for a moment.
It was only a suggestion.
These models are so well made, I can't tell what's a waxwork and what's a real human.
Or maybe, all the exhibits are real people. And when it's closing time and all the visitors have gone home, they suddenly start moving about.
Oh, just thinking about it makes me wish it was closing time already and I was on my way home. I mean, those look like real people. It's easy to tell who's real and who's fake based on if they have, like, the outlines or not. Because the 3D models don't really... Well, actually, the 3D models do have outlines, but they're not as thick and noticeable as the fake ones. Is this an example of Western Tutsigiri? That's a interesting word. I never heard that one before.
I don't know what that is.
You know, when an unscrupulous samurai randomly attacks a passerby to test his sword.
I still don't know, no. But actually, a waxwork samurai would probably be hugely popular. Could you model it, do you think, Reno? Do that Tutsigiri thing you mentioned.
Well, I do have a sword, but I have no intention of testing how sharp it is on a human object. For now, at least. For now, that implies you're gonna. I wonder who this 3D model is. It's... the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes has his own wax statue in here? Really?
Well, he is world famous after all.
It's an uncanny resemblance, isn't it? Makes my skin crawl to look at.
I know. But look, Bruno, you can kick this Haley and he doesn't move a muscle.
You can't go around kicking the exhibits, Iris. Wait. It just moved, I'm sure. And not just a little bit, either.
Really? Did it?
Look closely. There are beads of sweat on the face of this waxwork model. Shall we move on, Iris? Over there, look, there's a great murder scene to enjoy. Much more appealing.
Hold it! My dear fellow, I take exception to your recoiling in such a manner, as have I seen something truly abhorrent.
Mr. Sholmes, I knew it.
Iris, what possessed you? I strictly forbade you for divulging my temporary waxwork secret to Mr. Naruto.
Temporary waxwork? What do you mean?
And that kick? Could you not have exercised a little more restraint? You winded me.
But Bruno has something he needs to ask you.
Ah, question?
He's immediately cool with it now since it's a question.
And I thought you'd probably be getting bored too. So here we are.
Well, I can't deny that your timing was impeccable. A mere 2 more minutes of being stationary like that. And my great brain, upon which all success had been built, would have turned to wax.
Thank goodness we arrived in time. Oh well, sorry I had to make you wait like a few days, Mr. Sholmes, because I couldn't frickin' find that goddamn green cloth.
Indeed, in many ways, the pair of you just saved the world from an unimaginable loss.
I like to imagine he was just sitting there for 2 days standing straight while I tried to figure out how to get that fucking cloth. Because yeah, I feel so stupid about that.
Oh, Haley, you do like to talk nonsense, don't ya?
He could know something, it's true, about Lord Van Zeeks and what happened in the past to change him.
Now that you're here, let's take our time. How can I be of assistance? For you in luck, I'm suddenly quite taken with the idea of conversing.
Oh, well, actually, I'm in quite a hurry.
And if my eyes don't deceive me, I believe something is afoot within the walls of this very museum. A most fascinating case, so I'm not mistaken.
Oh shit, are we doing the funny? Really?
Moreover, I have a strong suspicion that is related to the matter about which you've come to me now.
But how could it be?
We shall speak again presently, my dear fellow, but for now I must return to my work.
What, back to being a temporary waxwork exhibit? He's still doing the fucking stupid pose. Alright, what do you think of my armband? Is he gonna... Actually, if I present my armband again, isn't he just gonna say, like, that's a dog? What about the newspaper? Mr. Sholmes, would you have a look at this newspaper?
You've been in my room and helped yourself, have you?
Let's not turn this into a scandal, shall we?
Well, considering I've already read it, one thing immediately strikes me. This paper's old news. What would possess you to show me this? What's done is done. You must distinguish, my dear fellow. Distinguish the old from the new.
There's some conversations you wish you never started. So he has what all to say about this. Mr. Sholmes, about this.
As you will see, I'm rather busy at the moment. If it's advice you seek, come to my office tomorrow and I shall be happy to help you. Shall we say, for a pence per item as a consultation fee?
That's 2 hours of gas, that is. Yeah, 3 pennies is, a lot. I love how he has to go back to doing the stupid pose every time. Hey, Mr. Sholmes, what do you think about a fucking crossbow? Oh, nothing. I have nothing to say about a crossbow. Alright. What about the cloth? Oh. Alright, back to doing the pose again. It's so funny. I'm really glad I did that. Alright. Madam Tuspels. I'm drinking tea. What is this place?
Madame Tuspels came to London from France 3 years ago, I understand. Since she opened this little waxwork museum last year, it's enjoyed great popularity in London.
There are museums like this in Japan too, but these displays are something else. I mean, they aren't made from actually real people, are they?
The extreme realism of these waxwork models is a particular secret of the Tuspels family, they say. They earned renown during the French Revolution for waxworks of victims of the guillotine.
Sounds grim.
The gruesome scenes were portrayed with such realism in the expressions of the faces of the condemned.
Apparently, the sculptors would make the models directly from the corpses right there at the scene of the executions.
Whoops, wrong button. That really turns my stomach.
That's just one of several legends of the Tuspel family. Where there's any truth in it, I couldn't say. But anyway, this museum houses models of famous people from all over the globe. Nevertheless, the most popular area of the museum is, by quite some margin, the House of Horrors.
House of Horrors?
Of course, visitor numbers are dwindling now as a result of the Great Exhibition. But people usually flock here to see the exhibits of some of London's most vile criminals at their gruesome work. Naturally, most of the miscreants portrayed here were sent to the gallows. So they've even sniffed out the models from them.
Have you heard of poor taste?
My dear fellow, the public live for poor taste. They yearn to be shocked.
So the hideous exhibits in here are...
They're all portrayals of real events that actually took place.
Is it just me, or did the temperature in here just seem to drop?
Anyway, I advise you not to think too deeply about what you see here.
Back to doing my funny pose. Oh, he's back to being a waxwork, is he? Yeah, he's gotta do it, you know. And I'm already out of tea. Damn it! Fuck, I knocked my bottle over again. Well, that was quick. I sure am great at this. What do you mean by a temporary waxwork, Mr. Sholmes?
Exactly what you see. I'm part of the exhibits here, catching these criminals in the act.
Catching them?
Every half an hour, I home in on a different killer in one of the displays and adopt a new pose to ensnare him. When members of the public come for a closer look, I offer them my hand to shake. For a shilling, I'll happily allow them to take a photograph with us.
Us? Does he mean him and the waxwork murderers in the air? But why, Mr. Sholmes?
My dear fellow, isn't it obvious? For the money!
He really roared at me there. Very fitting for the House of Horrors.
As it stands, I may struggle to pay this month's rent, and I have the ravenous iris to consider.
Oh, Hurley, I'm so hungry.
If push comes to shove, I shall have to ask you to do your bit, Mr. Naruhodo.
What, is he threatening to rope me into now?
So, with that in mind, how about a photograph? As a special treat, you may have your pick of the murderers and scoundrels in here. The choice is yours.
Maybe some other time.
Remember, Mr. Naruhodo, ignore me at your peril.
Yep. Is it just me, or did his final remark there sound like a curse? Alright, let's actually talk about the thing I wanted to ask. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want to ask him. Oh yeah, about Van Zeeks, that's right.
Well, what is it you'd like to ask me then?
Actually, it's about Lord Van Zeeks.
Ah, our friend Mr. Reaper. How did you find him? Well, I trust.
He was great, actually. And so I filled Mr. Sholmes in about everything I'd learnt. About Lord Van Zeeks, about Professor Harebrain, and about the strange coincidence that they had been at university together. So I'm wondering what it was that happened to make Lord Van Zeek such a different person.
I was sure that you'd know, Hurley.
You said there was something going on in here in this exhibit hall before, that something was afoot, and that you believed it was related to what I wanted to ask you about. Mr. Sholmes. He suddenly climbed up.
Well, it seems we've reached an unavoidable...
Greetings. Oh, it's a lady. That was a really deep voice for a lady. Oh, hello. Where'd she appear from? And what's she wearing? Could she look any more mysterious? Baddie alert, damn.
I hope you are appreciating my museum.
Sorry, have we... Mr. Sholmes, do you know this? Not again.
My apologies. I am Esmeralda Tuspels. This is my museum of waxwork.
Oh, you're the Madame Tuspels?
Bien sûr. Though only 26 years young, I might add.
I think you should be saying Venxi. Is that significant somehow?
I'm a madame in name only. It adds a certain je ne sais quoi.
Right.
Firstly, I must apologize for my waxworks. Or rather, one waxwork in particular.
Oh, maybe I should do a French voice for her, if I can even do that. That'll be Mr. Sholmes, then.
I was led to believe he was a great detective, but he seems unable to settle. Next time you move from your designated exhibit, there will be toil and trouble.
Oh!
She sounds deadly serious.
That's a problem. How am I supposed to ask Mr. Sholmes about Lord Van Zeeks now?
Let's not forget what Hurley said before. About something being afoot. Right here in this museum, I mean.
Yes, I know, but...
I'm so curious. I want to know what's happening here.
haven't we got enough on our plate already? Oh boy. Well, you know what time it is. Time to present the armband. Madam, there's something I'd like to show you.
Oui, what is that? I remarked it on myself immediately, and I've been very curious since.
This is not a French voice. I'm just gonna roll with it. Oh, well, it's actually the mark of a defense lawyer in the Empire of Japan.
Oh, well, dommage. Not quite as interesting as I hoped.
What exactly were you expecting from an armband? Could I show you this?
Oh, how fascinating! Is this made of wax?
No, sorry. It's a piece of evidence.
Why would you want to show me this?
She can only wax lyrical about wax, is that it? Alright, what do you think about the experiment sketch? Nope. Poopy. Hey, at least the armband has something interesting. Well, I don't know. I'm just presenting stuff because that's how I go. All right, well, let's converse. The waxworks. Did you make all these waxworks, Madame Tuspels?
I did. I am the third generation of waxwork artisans, you know. Gosh. It was my grandmother who began to teach tradition in my family. Her fortunes were checkered, living through the turbulent times of the French Revolution as she did. Though that is, when she acquired the savoir-faire that leads to astonishing lifelikeness. All these waxwicks really do look as though they're alive. In fact, they look more alive than Haley. What you see exhibited here represents the most atrocious of London's criminal past. All the waxworks were created in the presence of real people on which they are modeled. In the hours immediately following their executions. That is the secret to extraordinary lifelikeness.
That sounds terrifying.
All walks of life have similar dangers, I'm sure. To carry out one's trade par excellence, one must go extraordinary lengths. My exhibits are a reflection of society. I create only that which the public wishes to see.
Why couldn't the public have wished for something less horrifying?
Do not fear.
Sorry?
This room is the only one in the museum with such a macabre theme. I do hope you'll explore. There are models of famous singers, actors, politicians. Something for every taste, I hope.
It was Iris who dragged me straight in here, come to think of it.
Sorry, perhaps I should have eased you into things.
Well, I'm sort of getting a feel for this voice. What's the situation with that?
Ah, my temporary waxwork model. He approached me some days ago, you see, with a business proposal.
Oh, what sort of proposal?
My dear madam, what these sparse exhibits need is the addition of a world-famous great detective.
So he forced himself in? Oh, great.
Or words to that effect. Naturally, I'm well aware of Mr. Sholmes is widely known in London as a talented detective.
It's great detective, actually. He's very specific about it.
Oui, the creme de la creme. So I was keen to come to some arrangement with him, of course. But sadly, we were unable to agree to terms.
Let me guess. Someone wanted to charge an exorbitant price for his services.
For a mere £500, I will dive into your cauldron of wax this very moment.
Or words to that effect.
Mr. Sholmes might have overdone it slightly with the sales pitch.
Regrettably, the museum has a shortage of funds at the moment due to unforeseen circumstances. So, we came to the current arrangement instead.
Surely he doesn't really need to do what he's doing, though, does he?
I would think not, but he was very insistent.
I have a 50-shilling problem. That museum must be resolved by the morning.
Or words to that effect. It's the pawnbroker, that's what it is. He must have something to redeem.
He's a consulting detective, not going so well. I mean, didn't the fucking pawnbroker die in the last game, so who's the pawnbroker now? Oh. I wonder, could I ask you something?
Bien sûr.
I'm just curious, is anything going on in the museum at the moment? Some kind of incident, perhaps?
Whoever suggested such a thing to you?
Oh, well, it was... your temporary waxwork over there who mentioned it to me a little... Oh, he's disappeared. I don't know who's talking here. It's either Sholmes or her.
A wax model's a work of art, not some tawdry object for trade.
Oh. Oh yeah, it was him. There you are.
Leaving the exhibit again when you should be working? Do you wish to be melted down?
My dear madam, to spell, save your reprimands. There are more pressing concerns. The wax can wait. It's our ideas about your current problem that we must throw into a melting pot instead. Personally, I would advise you not to involve the police.
Why ever not?
She's turned as white as a sheet.
Because you have at your disposal a great detective whose services you may employ for a mere 50 shillings. Though, please be aware that I prefer— no, I insist upon payment in advance.
Very well. Let us see if the great detective is able to live up to his name, shall we?
Ooh, I love this music.
Before I engage my analytical processes, I must ask you to clarify something. What, pray, is behind the curtain?
That is the Taspel special exhibit. There's an extra charge to see it.
Ah, the special exhibit in the House of Horrors. It must depict a special killer, then, I presume.
Would you be so kind as to draw back the curtain, I wonder?
Absolutely not. There's nothing amiss behind there.
Nothing amiss, madam. What about the arm protruding ominously from under the curtain?
Ah,
I strongly encourage you to allow me see what lies beyond before the situation worsens.
Wow, he's really good at blackmailing, isn't he?
oui, very well. I will draw back the curtains, but only a soup cone.
Ooh, fancy.
I must confess, I peeked behind the curtain earlier. The Taspel special exhibit's a very bleak graveyard indeed. And yet, somewhat surprisingly, the waxwork killer one would expect is nowhere to be seen. What does strike one, however,
Oh.
is the portly gentleman lying peacefully on his back on the floor.
Why do I feel like I've seen that guy before? Well then, perhaps, Mr. Sholmes. That man on the floor is the ruthless killer himself.
I'm afraid not, my dear fellow. He is a perfectly ordinary London gentleman. Not even a waxwork, in fact.
What?
As skillfully made as these waxworks are, they are always distinguishable from real humans. So, allow me to present my two conclusions. The first is that a sizable business transaction had been taking place in this special exhibit.
Why? Quoi would you say that?
And the second is that the aforementioned transaction is linked to a serious crime.
Ah!
She looks as pale as candle wax.
Je don't understand.
So, Madame Taspels, as you've agreed to my fee, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work.
Oh, I knew we were gonna do one of these. Let's go. Okay, maybe it's a good thing I did end the episode where I did, because I didn't know we'd be doing a frickin' Sholmes dance now.
To begin with, we must ask ourselves what exactly is afoot here in this museum.
And he's still doing the fucking stupid pose.
The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes protruding so helpfully from your bag.
Not hopefully or helplessly, it's helpfully.
In my estimation, some £200.
That is all my own money.
So what does this large sum of money reveal? Ah, not as much as the involuntary glance you cast, it would seem, Madame Taspels. Yes, the answer lies where your eyes know full. The significance of the £200 is revealed by the public notice.
Well, obviously it's not the public notice, but we'll see what we have to replace it with.
Waxwork for sale? Your business has hit hard, it would seem. Or hit hard times. In short, you sold the infamous killer the centerpiece of your special exhibit for the sum of £200.
No!
Now, let us explore the next curiosity which we have presented. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor?
I mean, he looks like he's breathing, kind of. So I'm going to assume he's alive, because he's not bleeding anywhere. I think he just fell asleep. Or he knocked himself out like Mayor Penguin.
It would appear the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you. Unfortunately, madam, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the £200. It would appear that you twisted this gentleman around your little finger most effectively.
What are you suggesting?
He's rashly agreed to purchase the waxwork for the sum of £200. Only when he came to hand the money over did it occur to him what an extortionate amount he was paying. But the money was no longer in his hands. And the result? The scene we see before us. He collapsed in shock.
I think he just fell asleep, honestly.
Yes, the killer in the special exhibit fetched a killer price. We can only pray the gentleman's dreams are not plagued with regret.
Honestly, this game just reinforces the fact of my, love for witches with braids. It's like such a killer combo, I gotta say.
The question that arises then is what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? Let us consider that problem for a moment.
You cannot possibly...
What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his neckerchief, such as is worn by policemen as a secret sign to fellow members of the force that a crime is being perpetrated. Yes, this young man's an undercover policeman, currently investigating this young madam. I know him well, in fact. It's Sergeant John Clay.
What are you talking about?
The man's quite a celebrity. He received triple accolades at the last year's policing awards.
But...
Next, we turn our attention to the old man sat before him, with this particularly unsightly visage. I've been watching closely, and he hasn't moved a muscle. Almost, in fact, as if he were waxwork.
But too...
Your reaction only confirms my suspicions, madam. I noticed it at once, of course. Observe. The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man's a waxwork is the obvious price tag. Threepence? A tragically low price, you might say. Though perhaps the going rate for aging waxworks riddled with cracks. And yet you sold it to the portly gentleman for an exorbitant amount of £200. The sort of plucky behaviour that's sure to attract the attention of Scotland Yard. Isn't that so, madam?
Je do not.
Yes, the waxwork you sold has already been seized by the police and remains in their custody as we speak. The old man must have been reunited with his grave in the special exhibit, and not a moment too soon. Discovered already. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of the horrifying puzzle.
We're not impressed.
I see I've stunned you all into silence.
You have, Hurley. You have. And you've obviously upset this young lady in the process. Her cauldron looks awfully hot.
Oh, wrong voice. If I could just bring up one point, Mr. Sholmes.
Ah, the notorious Naruhodo 1 point. I'm all ears, my dear fellow.
According to your deduction, then, the special exhibit featured this old policeman. So, that would mean that he's the particularly ruthless murderer, wouldn't it?
The killer policeman, Automole?
Sorry?
It was a mysterious series of murders that rattled the capital only last year.
Okay, it looks like my laundry's about to finish, so I'm gonna take a little break, so I'll be right back, guys. Okay, wow, that took a lot longer than I was expecting. I had to go do my laundry, I had to get me a drink, and then I had to go pee, and then I had to go refill the water jug in the fridge. So that all took like 10 minutes. That's pretty funny. But hey, I mean, I figured I might as well get all that shit out of the way now, so that I don't have to do it later. So, yeah, probably for the best. I am curious to see how this, how the volume's gonna sound later, because I changed my mic settings a bit. I upped the compressor ratio a bit, because, I feel like it wasn't doing its job enough. Because whenever I talk really quietly, like, I can barely hear myself. But I guess we'll see, right? Because, you know, the whole point of the compressor is that it's supposed to make your, it's supposed to make your audio at a certain, like a certain level, consistently. And, you know, when it doesn't do that, it kind of makes me a bit miffed, really. But, yeah, we'll see how it sounds later, I guess. Anyways, let's continue with this. I don't remember if I read this already.
The police rushed over to the scene every time, only to find the culprit had disappeared into the ether.
The ether?
As it turned out, the culprit was a policeman himself, a senior officer by the name of Automole.
So you mean that's who the sinister-looking old man there's supposed to be?
Indeed. It is a particularly grim face, is it not? Unforgettable, in fact. Yes, I remember that odious countenance only too well.
But it's £200, a lot of money for a wax model.
It would be enough to afford one of the last steam carriages, so that put things in perspective.
So it is quite a lot, then.
Is there anything else you wish to add? Before I melt you down?
That bubbling wax is looking more and more ominous.
Oh, the smell of all that molten wax is starting to worry me.
Mr. Sholmes did more or less just accuse her to her face, so I think I might have to call on for your assistance here, Iris, if that's alright. To make some minor corrections to the great detective's great deductions.
Of course it's alright. We'll see and set things straight.
Well, let's get started then, shall we? Before Madame Tuspils vents her anger.
Ah, just what I was waiting to hear, my dear fellow. So, Madame Tuspils, in accordance with our agreement, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work.
Even though you already said that. You already said that, bro. Oh well.
Sold for cash. To begin with, we must ask ourselves...
Oh yeah, I should probably not read this again. I should probably just, like, have a look at it and stand read it to myself. So obviously there's the banknotes and all that jazz. I love the dance. I'm pretty sure that's what they're called, right? Actually, maybe I can look up what they're called. The public notice. Ooh. She definitely looked in this direction, it's true.
But I'm not sure she's selling any of her waxworks, even for £200.
Oh.
She must pour her heart and soul into making them, don't you think? Over and above the wax. If it were me, I wouldn't sell them for anything.
For that much money, I would. But it sounds like that makes me a bad person. Well, anyway.
I wonder if the £200 could have some other significance.
Let's follow that furtive glance again and see if there's anything else that could explain it.
Well, what other options are there? There's the portly man. Well, what are our options? I think it's just portly man. Or there's the note on the wall. Oh, the note on the wall for £200. That's it.
Take that!
No, it's not. Am I jumping ahead of myself? This looks very suspicious to me. And that's why I'm sure this is the answer I've been looking for.
Shirking of that nature will hasten the end of the universe, Mr. Naruhodo.
The end of the universe?
At the very least, you can examine the note before jumping to conclusions. You owe the universe that much, my dear fellow.
I think I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh wait, I have to examine it first and then... Fuck, I'm so dumb.
This man and the £200 in no way related at all.
The poor man was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, it seems. But there's no doubt that Madame Tuspels did react to what Mr. Sholmes said. The way she automatically looked over this way must tell us something, I'm sure. Okay, so no, I am doing the right thing, it's just I have to fucking examine it first.
What's that note doing pinned on the wall there?
Oh yes, let's see. Dear Madame Tuspels, we've taken the prisoner from this room. The price for his safe return is £200. Have the money ready by noon on the 23rd of October.
What?
This is... It's just like the sort of thing that's left behind when someone's kidnapped. So it's a ransom note.
Yes, it's a ransom note.
Oh, okay, she said it for me. Great. Exactly. Okay, so now it's changed to ransom note, and now I present it.
Take that!
Yeah. Always examine shit before you, like, present it, jeez. That's something I learned from the second case. Because the second case did that exact same thing, where you have to examine the books, and then you can present the books. You can't just present the books, because Naruhodo doesn't know who those books are, even though I do. The significance of the £200 is revealed by that ransom note. See, like, I saw the £200, and I thought, like, oh yeah, it's obviously about that, but nope, you have to examine it first.
Quite so, and we must congratulate those criminals on their inventions abducting a waxwork. £200 is no small ransom fee, yet you clearly intend to pay it.
So that's why she's behind on the rent, or whatever the fuck, this month.
The modern question has special importance, so I put together all the money I have.
In summary then, £200 you have in your handbag is ransom money. Now, let us explore the next curiosity which we have presented.
Nice, we're back to... yeah.
Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor?
Okay, so we're back to, this again. Well, now the £200 makes 0 sense, because we already disproved it. So if the waxwork was kidnapped, where does that leave us in terms of who this man is?
We could just ask him when he comes round.
I think the point of this exercise is to understand the beauty of the deduction process, Iris.
Yes, you're right. He's trying so hard, we mustn't let him down.
Well, there's little doubt that he suffered by shock, that seems clear. But in that case, what's Madame Tuspels trying to hide? Let's have a closer look around. Well... wait, I'm looking at her? I can't look at the background. Long hair braid. Madame Tuspels has very long hair, doesn't she?
Yes, but you couldn't tell looking at her from the front.
You know, it looks rather like a whip, don't you think? The sort of whip that could floor the gentleman with a single crack.
That seems a little far-fetched, even for you, Runo.
I mean, I do like her braid, that is very nice. But oh, the hand? There's a hand here?
This is just Madame Tuspels' right hand, isn't it?
Yes, it must be. I can clearly see her left hand after all.
Oh, but wait a minute. This is a left hand as well, look.
Don't say such creepy things, Iris, please.
And it seems very stiff too. In fact, it's really hard.
You mean... it's made of wax?
She has a wax hand. The waxwork hand. It's probably that. Well, yeah, because notice how she's holding the hand. I mean, what else could I present? I think I'm gonna try it.
Take that!
Why else would it make me examine it? What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the waxwork hand.
Indeed, with a solid waxwork limb, one could deliver a very substantial blow.
How could two?
The hand protruding from the bottom of your cape. It ought to be a right hand, but close inspection reveals that in fact a left hand.
Ah,
And somewhat masculine as well. In other words, it does not belong to you, madam. It is the hand of the waxwork model.
oh!
Wow.
Some of the visitors to my museum can be troublesome. They meddle with the exhibits and cause damage.
So you mean the arm?
Oui, this gentleman sought to try and remove it as a souvenir.
No small keepsake.
Like taking a whole branch of cherry tree when you go to view the blossoms.
I'm afraid I had to teach the man a lesson.
You confronted the man and tried to take the arm back.
And the result? The scene we see before us. He was knocked unconscious. A point we may need to revisit later, but for the time being, we have our conclusion. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit has been kidnapped.
Kidnap. Yep, there was a kidnapping, we know that. Oh, yeah, so the arm is the only thing left, right? Like, everything else got kidnapped? I think that was... Actually, I think that was new dialogue. Hold on.
What has become of the waxwork that changed hands? Let's consider that problem for a moment.
Two cannot possibly.
Oh, wait, no, this is the same. Alright, well, it's obviously not the neckerchief, then.
According to Mr. Sholmes, the yellow neckerchief is assigned to the policeman that some crime's on the way. A way of communicating with his colleagues without revealing his identity, yes. It's a secret that closely guarded by Scotland Yard.
That Mr. Sholmes didn't hesitate to give away.
Well, uncovering secrets is any true detective's nature, of course.
Right, well, anyway, judging from Madame Tuspel's reaction to Mr. Sholmes' deduction, I think perhaps we might not have identified the man quite correctly. Well, let's see, it's... Oh, it's the shoulder stub.
What the?
The man has a stub sticking out of his shoulder where his arm should be.
Ah, well, that settles that then.
Right, this isn't a real person at all.
His entire arm's been ripped off from the shoulder down.
His arm's been... Of course, that ties in with what we just found out.
Take that!
It's the shoulder stub. I'm getting better at these. So that is not a real person then. Who's this fellow? To find the answer, we need only to observe his shoulder stub.
No such boneless human walks this earth, of that I can assure you. In other words, the man standing here, the young Sergeant John Clay, is in fact defying all odds, a waxwork model.
I seem to remember it was you who concluded he was a real person in the first place, Mr. Sholmes.
He has become quite a celebrity in London, being the winner of no less than 3 policing awards last year. I simply had to make a model of the man.
Naturally, what other explanation could there be?
And it was the detective's arm that was pulled off by the man on the floor in the special exhibit, wasn't it? Alright, so now we have this guy. So is he a waxwork? I guess we're gonna find out. now I'm not sure. The obvious price tag. A killer policeman called Otomo, was it? Was he well known?
He was all over the papers last year, but I can't say I know what he looks like. It's a very low price though. Threepence isn't much money.
Only enough for a few measly hours of gas in Mr. Garrett's delightful lodgings, in fact. So this is the special killer taken from a special exhibit, is it? That's really funny. We're bringing up the last case now. It's like, oh, the frickin' gas prices again. Gas prices have gone up. The waxwick that somebody stole from the museum and tried to ransom at £200. Is this crusty old killer policeman Otomo, really?
Perhaps we should have a good look around again and see if another idea crops up.
So we're examining him? Well, let's examine the price tag. 3 pence? It's a far cry from £200, isn't it?
For threepence, you could buy and put on display in your room now.
I think I'd rather not go to sleep being watched by an old man if that's all the same to you.
The price tag does stand out though, doesn't it? I mean, you couldn't even buy the helmet on his head for that much money, I don't think.
I wonder what the price tag's really for then. I guess I don't know. What about the neckerchief? Oh. And he's moving, so that's also it. I can't believe it. It's the secret sign that... Oh, wait.
It's a secret sign that lets other detectives know some criminal activities on the way.
Yes, it's a slightly strange choice of outfit if he was trying to go unnoticed.
Ah, he must be a detective disguised as a policeman.
Oh, a detective disguised as a waxwork model of a policeman.
He don't look like he's clever enough to think of something like that, though.
Perhaps you should try to be a little more polite about him, Iris. Or what about Twitch? Twitch.tv? Twitch.tv/MinusBros, guys. Look at this. The old man's tapping his foot like crazy.
He seems to be fast asleep, though.
He's not tapping his foot consciously then. See me and...
Must be a Twitch.
Never mind that. The point is, waxworkers don't tap their feet.
Or Twitch.tv/MinusBros.
And look at the arm too. We've seen a scarf like that somewhere else around here, haven't we? So let's see. The telltale sign instantly proves whether or not this old man's a waxwork is the obvious Twitch. The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man's a waxwork is the obvious Twitch. Even the most realistic waxworks do not exhibit a Twitch.tv. In other words, this splendid old man's in fact a genuine member of Scotland Yard. He's fucking hunched over. Slight shifting a choice of adjectives then. And there you have it. Well, Madam Tuspels.
Well, what? It was me who contacted the policeman and demanded that someone come in the first place. He is clearly fatigued. He's sound asleep.
But then, what's this tag about showing a price of 3 pence?
No doubt the price tag of the muffler which the old Bobby purchased recently at a local market. And I presume you observed the scarf tied around his arm? Does that not strike you, Mr. Naruto?
Yes, the secret sign used by detectives to show that some criminal activity is currently on the way.
Of course, because, as you know, there had been much of criminal activity happening here. As you deduced from the very beginning, detective.
So, it would seem that we finally arrive at the truth.
The waxwork of the especially ruthless killer from the special exhibit has been kidnapped. So that's why she called a detective.
And Scotland Yard are already investigating. But the model's whereabouts remain a mystery. A mystery. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of a horrifying puzzle. still a mystery.
Hooray, that was a good one. And I also did way better at it. I only fucked up once. Maybe there's an achievement for that. It's like, do a Hurlock Sholmes dance without fucking up.
All sorts of people visit my museum here. Men and women, young and old. Sometimes they drop in for just a short time once they were home back from the pub. I welcome them all. But if anyone tries to damage my exhibits, I do not take it lightly. Anyway.
She's so cute, look at her.
Your great deduction was even more enchanting than I had been led to believe.
It was a pleasure, my dear madam. I'm gratified that you enjoyed the spectacle. And as for your rough customer, I've no doubt he'll regain consciousness shortly and return home. What concerns me more is the waxwork from the special display, if it was indeed genuinely abducted.
So there's just dead-ass nothing left.
Oui, tragically it was.
Then I would ask you to recount us the events of the surrounding stolen waxwork. In as much detail as possible, if you please.
Very well. But after I told you what I know, I must insist that you return to your work.
The talents of a great detective could be put to better use, I feel, but as you wish.
Alright, let's converse some more. I mean, I haven't even bothered examining this room. We should probably do that before I forget. We gotta pad out this episode somehow, right? And we get some fluff. I like fluff. Is this some infamous murder?
Yes, called Jane the Ripper. All her victims were young women.
Jane the Ripper? Jack the
It's time for Jack to let her rip.
Jack the Ripper? Genocide Jack? How many other Jacks and Janes do I need to know about? I knew it. You can tell by the way she's holding the knife. Sheer sign of a murder.
Well, yeah.
Oh!
What's the matter, Runo?
I've worked it out. I know what she's doing. She's trying to fill that bathtub with blood so she can have a soak in the victim's gore.
No, that would raise the game's age rating a little bit. Not according to the information about the exhibit on the little board there. It doesn't mention anything about the bathtub.
Really?
Sorry, I don't think it's significant.
I mean, isn't Danganronpa rated T as well? And yet that game has more. Well, I feel like the only reason they got away with the gore in that game is because of the pink blood. I still think it has to be there for a reason. I don't know. I think, well, obviously it has something to do with the Japan's age ratings, because Japan is weird about that. Oh, this whole thing is an exhibit that I can examine. Well, that definitely makes it easier on me. Less stuff to examine, and I already examined this. These models are so well made, I can't tell what's a waxwork and what's a real human.
That's how Haley gets away with making himself a temporary exhibit for the day.
Maybe there are other people posing as exhibits then.
Or maybe all the exhibits are real people. And when it's closing time and all the visitors have gone home, they suddenly start moving about.
Yeah, I did examine that. Why was that a new thing to examine, though? Oh yeah, wait, I actually examined all this shit before. I think the only one I didn't examine was the Jane the Ripper one. Okay. So that didn't take very long, actually. Tell us more about the stolen waxworks, please.
It was some day ago now, when I came here in one morning. I immediately noticed that the waxwork was missing from the special exhibit here. It is your most prominent display, so that's why the curtains were closed. And she found some ransom note in its place.
The culprit must have broken in during the night and taken it then.
So this waxwork that was stolen, it was a model of some horrible criminal, I suppose. Of a particularly horrible criminal, in fact. The killer who left a more profound scar on society than any other, I'd say. The Professor.
Not a name I've heard of. Oh man, now we have another professor?
So, Mr. Naruto, seems the circle's complete.
Sorry?
The Professor case happened at around the time I was born, didn't it?
Indeed it did, Iris. 10 years ago, a series of murders that rocked the capital.
And the police cars outside. Well, I almost have my window fully closed. That's probably how the sirens got in. Well, it's more. I feel like it's more like an ambulance at this point. Like I keep calling it police sirens, but they're usually ambulance sirens. That's usually what I hear outside because I live next to a fucking hospital. It seems. 10 years ago.
Yes, at exactly the time that Barak Van Zieks graduated from university, in fact.
What? Surely he's not saying.
So the big event that changed Mr. Reaper's life?
I'm getting a little suspicious of our scientist friend, of our professor.
As you've surmised, it was the Professor case.
Well, he's a scientist, not a professor, right? So I don't think they're linked in any way, are they? Well, I don't know. You know, just for shits and giggles, I should probably look at the court record. ODS man, Van Zieks, masked man. He has the air of a completely unassailable man. Yeah, he's. I don't know. I feel like. Well, maybe just a hunch, but I feel like Hairbrain and the Professor are linked in some way. I don't know how yet. A scientist who invented a machine to demonstrate super high voltage instantaneous kinesis. He's the defendant of this case and a friend of Lord Van Zieks, apparently. Oh yeah, there's also Gina Lestrade in here. A mostly reformed pickpocket who's now a self-appointed detective inspector. She's really making waves in her new apprenticeship. I think Gregson's got the same. And then Tespel's. The proprietress of Madame Tespel's Museum of Waxwork and the latest in a line of artisans privy to the secrets Tespel's technique of capturing a perfect likeness. Who's the professor then? Ooh, this I gotta hear.
It was a series of gruesome murders that had all of London gripped in terror a decade ago. After sank victims were killed, the man was arrested and put to death.
And now he's immortalized here in wax for all Londoners to admire and enjoy. Though, of course, he happens to be absent at present on account of the abduction.
But I don't understand. How is all this related to Lord Van Zieks? Yeah, I mean, why is he seems Thong wouldn't be playing otherwise.
You must first understand, my dear fellow, why is it that Professor earned such infamy? It was due to the victims he chose, some of Whitehall's finest.
What do you mean, Haley?
Those murdered by Professor were some of the highest members of the British aristocracy. Members of the nobility, even royalty. It sent shockwaves through the country's administration.
Yeah, it's like if you kill a CEO. Oh wait, too soon. That's not funny. Members of the... Oh wait, of course. What Professor Hairbrain said. Lord Van Zieks is from a family with noble blood.
Oh gosh.
It was the 5th victim that led to the Professor's arrest. The last of the killer's prey was a young noble by the name of Clint Van Zieks.
Oh shit, there's the drop. That's, I think I know who Clint Van Zieks is, because I kind of got a little spoiled on it, sadly. No, I don't believe it. Van Zieks?
I'm sure you can piece together the rest for yourself. In the wake of his older brother's murder, the young Barak pursued a career as a prosecutor.
Yeah, so his older brother was I didn't know his older brother was killed by the professor, though. I just knew that his older brother was gone.
And eventually became the Reaper we know today.
I had no idea Lord Van Zeeks had such a tragic past.
Well, I'm afraid that's all I can say on the matter, for the time being at least. After all, I have work to do. As a waxwork exhibit.
First he serious, and then he lulled.
I'm afraid I shall have to excuse myself as well.
Oh yes, of course. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Well, none of the predicted scenarios I've been analyzing involved you coming to visit me here. What the fuck? He's just here now? It's been too long, it really has. I'm delighted to see you, Barak.
It's been 10 years, and here we are, meeting in a prison of all places.
I can't forgive myself for what happened to Mr. Asman. I just can't. I still can't believe it happened.
Tomorrow, the court will decide.
Yeah. I have a young Eastern man acting for my defense. He seems reliable enough, though. It was an accident. A terrible accident. He assures me he can prove it.
I must warn you.
Oh, no. I can't heard already. You're going to be prosecuting, aren't you?
Yes.
Since I returned to England, I've heard lots of stories. Barak, are you really?
What?
Never mind. I know that you have my best interests at heart.
My friend is on trial. I wouldn't entrust it to anybody else.
Of course, I fully understand. Thank you, Barak.
Until tomorrow, then. I'll see you in court.
See, he trusts us. He's a good dude. To be continued. Oh man, I don't want to end it here though. There'll be two, like, see, like, I have like two weirdly spaced episodes because I got. Well, I mean, I couldn't have tacked this on to last episode because we had that whole like, frickin' Mr. Sholmes dance going on. So let's do a little bit of the trial, like I did in the past few times I did this. We'll do like maybe one of the testimonies and then I'll call it. That'll probably be good enough. Can't believe it's been 6 months since I was last allowed to work in court. Now here I am, back at the Old Bailey. Ah, Mr. Naruto. Good morning, Professor Hairbrain. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. The atmosphere pressure here is off the charts. I've never felt anything like it. It's crashing me. I feel it every time I'm here. That gravity. Well, this is Britain's highest court. But are you telling me it's fitted with some kind of device that can actually control air pressure? I think it's probably all in the mind. Ah, yeah, well, you won't let me down, will you, Mr. Naruto? I'm counting on you in today's trial to save McLife! To save the secret of the super voltage instantaneous kinesis machine from being made public. Yes, I understand. I know what I have to do. I have to establish that the explosion 2 days ago was nothing more than an unfortunate accident. Well, I'm sure there's nothing to worry about, really. Justice will prevail. Who's talking here? Oh, it's frickin' Sholmes.
Oh, hello, Mr. Naruto.
Mr. Sholmes, I didn't expect to see you here.
That was very mean, Runo, leaving me alone at home with Hurley. It took me at least an hour to wake him.
Is it? Are you? Sherlock Sholmes? Indeed, sir, I am he. Sherlock Sholmes.
Oh, I've heard all about your exploits, even whilst living in Germany.
Ah yes, Randst magazine is on sale in Germany too.
This month's installment was sublime. Your deduction in the adventure of Silver Blaze was wonderful.
Ah yes, a memorable case indeed. It concerned a snake, I seem to recall.
No, that was the Speckled Band.
Yeah, that was like a whole game ago. Well, thank you for coming. I do appreciate your support.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, my dear fellow,
But I'm afraid I can't stay. Oh.
I have urgent business at Madame Tuspel's.
You mean your waxwork job?
No, the waxwork abduction, of course. Madame has engaged my services.
Ah, so you're trying to get to the bottom of the ransom note, are you? Well, there's like 2 cases in one, damn. It's like, sure, we have this whole, like, kinesis thing, but now we're investigating a freaking stolen waxwork. There's like 2, it's like 2 freaking mysteries in one.
The weak wages depend on it, as does the safe return of the waxwork, naturally. As much, I intend to give it my undivided attention.
Oh, well, never mind then. I understand.
Of course, with my skills of observation and reasoning, resolving the matter will be as easy as proverbial pie. I shall return forthwith. For until I solve the case, I shall have no money to afford the pie of any description.
Ooh, then you must absolutely give it your full attention, Hurley.
Quite, Iris, quite. But life's riddled with irony, you know. Whenever I give something my full attention, I have a quite insatiable desire for a pie. One of the universe's intractable mysteries, you might say.
Oh yeah, quite. Definitely, absolutely. I totally understand. Is someone a little starstruck?
I wish you the very best of luck, Professor Hairbrain.
Why thank you.
Before I depart, Mr. Arhodo, a word in your ear, if you please.
What's this about?
As you have a remarkably little grounding in science, I feel I ought to inform you. As compelling as this super high voltage instantaneous kinesis hypothesis may be, a practical implementation such as was attempted by the Professor Greg exhibition is quite impossible.
But the professor said the demonstration was a success.
Yes, it would appear that he fervently believes it was.
I've read Professor Bonnybrain's paper about it, Runo, and I must say, I'm sure it can't be done. It could barely be done theoretically, let alone practically.
So he's completely barking up the wrong tree. But how can an experiment like that have no possibility of succeeding, in fact? That's contradictory.
And it's that contradiction that will be at the heart of the trial, I've no doubt.
What's that supposed to mean?
Now, I must hurry along. I wish you the best of luck, my dear fellow.
See you later, Hurley.
He's got to do his funny little bow.
Well, looks like you're on your own today, Runo, but chin up, you can do it.
Oh, what about you, Iris?
Ah, no, I'm afraid I can't help. I have something I need to do.
I see.
Heh, it's gonna be a big surprise for you when you find out what it is.
That sounds ominous. Oh, what if it's like... Is it the skin prints again?
Counsel for defense and defendant. Court is about to be in session. Make your way into the courtroom at once.
We're on our way. So I'm just gonna be standing by myself today? Damn. An experiment that the laws of science can't possibly succeed. And the scientist who's convinced that it did. That's the riddle you have to unlock here, Ryunosuke. That's the key to this case. It's just gonna be us two dueling today, I see. Well, it is the 23rd of October today, so that ransom note's due now. Yeah, that is weird. We are standing by ourselves.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are sitting today for the public trial of Professor Albert Harebrain. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. I'm 6 months out of practice, and what's more, whoosh, I'm without suitus on today. Is it just my imagination, or does the air in here feel even more oppressive than usual?
So, I must say I recollected the victim of the case all too well, Mr. Uri Asman.
Mr. Asman was well known as a financier, though that was merely a front for his diverse criminal activities.
It was only a month ago that the man appeared in court, prosecuted by you, Lord Van Zeeks. But the jury unanimously found him not guilty.
Because every member of the jury had been bribed by the sound of it. These powerful London criminals are prepared to go to extreme lengths to keep their freedom.
But 2 days ago, on 21st October, Mr. Asman met his end. The work of the Reaper, was it?
If that is how your lordship would describe divine retribution. But the fact remains that Mr. Asman's death was a direct result of the actions of the accused, Professor Harebrain.
Very well then. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you've been selected at random to represent the will of the people. Are the 6 of you ready to fulfill your societal duty?
Oh wow, look at this guy. Look at this fucking Chad man.
I'm most gratified to have selected to carry out the important civic duty, my lord.
Damn, what are these people? To have a man's fate in the palm of one's hand, oh gosh, oh golly, it sends shiver down my spine. She's science experiments, magic conjuring tricks, courtroom trials, all are nothing more than performances.
Any spurious scholar that defiles the reputation of science deserves to hang.
We have to listen to what's said on both sides of the fence and settle at once. That's it, isn't it?
What the fuck? These are some weird ass people. Oh, and the guy from yesterday.
Wasn't like it in my day. Wasn't like it at all.
That's the police killer Ormol lookalike. Again. And he's as exhausted as ever, it seems.
Now, as I'm sure you're all aware, the incident we are about to judge here today tragically took place at the Great Exhibition shortly after its opening.
Though the death toll could have been far worse, with the exception of the victim, no one was killed. Nevertheless, the dream of the science being exhibited rapidly turned into a nightmare for spectators.
A tragic turn of events, and as such, the eyes of all London, no, the whole world will be on this trial. It is our duty to reach a swift and just conclusion, I feel.
Not gonna lie, I kind of missed the other jurors already. These guys are fucking weird looking.
So, your opening statement, please, Lord Van Zeeks.
At the heart of the incident is technology never before demonstrated anywhere in the world.
One of science's latest developments, I take it. The government's keen to capitalize on the Great Exhibition to improve Britain's technological advantage.
Can't talk. I'm getting a bit, tired. Exhausted, I guess, from speaking so much. The technology being demonstrated by the accused was described as super high voltage instantaneous kinesis.
Good lord.
He's doing the paper shuffling thing again. It's designed to disassemble human subjects using extremely high voltage electricity.
and beam them instantly to another location where they are subsequently reassembled.
Is such a thing even within the realms of possibility? Well, I don't believe it, if that's for sure.
Disassembling people with electricity? My goodness, how shocking.
Ha! The whole idea is absurd. The hypothesis would never stand the scrutiny. Sir, I believe you're a fellow of the Royal Society, are you not? An expert in your field? I am, and on my word, on the matter to be considered final, instantaneous kinesis is poppycock.
So this expert, Mr. Sholmes, is in agreement. It's impossible.
What is the prosecution's view on the matter?
The prosecution will assert that the accused's instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a success.
What?
What rot? Order!
Professor. Oh wait, wrong. I guess Van Zeke's not our hodo now. Man, I really gotta end it soon. I think I'm gonna end it before the first thing starts because I'm exhausted, man. I can't keep going like this. The professor's hypothesis is currently under investigation by the British government. It is deemed to have merit. A substantial research grant would be made available. The accused made use of the invention built on his new hypothesis to take Mr. Asman's life, in order to be the sole benefactor of the grant. But... So this is the angle he's going at? This disastrous demonstration was no accident. It was carefully designed from the outset to end the life of the victim.
Thank you, Lord Van Zeeks. The prosecution's stance is clear. But you'll now bring forth witnesses to substantiate your claims.
So I already kind of have an idea. I think the way Van Zeeks is swaying it, he's trying to make very, outlandish claims just because he knows we're going to try and counter them. Like, he wants us to counter his claims. And, obviously, if he had no, bold claims, there'd be no case. The case would be over, and that would be, really anticlimactic. So, that's the way I see things. He wants to have an interesting, court battle, and he's making these crazy claims just so that we can have something to counter. Gladly, my lord. And the cape's off already. Bailiff, show the first witnesses to the sand. Oh, great, these fuckers. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court.
Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. I was on duty at the demonstration on the day in question and in charge of the following investigation.
Albert Harebrain, scientist. You were born in England, but have been carrying out research in Germany in recent years, correct? Yeah, that's right. After graduating from university here in Britain, I went to work in Germany and made an amazing discovery. Which is what brought me back. I had to demonstrate Mick Incredible's hypothesis at the Great Exhibition.
What you demonstrated was incredible, right? An incredible explosion.
But the science was a success. The instantaneous kinesis worked. Everyone saw it. They must have done. Well, yeah, there was a terrible accident, but the demonstration of Mick's hypothesis was a success.
Well, that much is undeniable, as shown in this photograph taken by the forensic investigation team.
Great. Oh. There's some blood.
This was taken inside the Crystal Tower, I take it. The centerpiece of the exhibition, no less. That's right, my lord. Seems the victim rammed straight into it. I see. Very well. Submit the photograph as evidence.
Alright, a photograph of the victim taken after he had ostensibly been beamed to the Crystal Tower. It shows an apparent stab wound to the chest.
As the court heard, the victim of the incident was Mr. Odiasman. There had been a number of allegations made against the man, but putting them aside for the time being. He was the man who financed the research for the experiment and the demonstration itself. I see. So to summarize the situation, the defendant is accused of taking the life of the man who funded his work. Would that be correct? Exactly.
But couldn't it be that the explosion was caused by a malfunction in the apparatus used for the demonstration?
That's right. That must be it. My splendid machine. My poor splendid machine. You saw yesterday, didn't you? We can't even examine the wreckage thanks to the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. What? The wreckage? The wreckage? But that being the case, how can the facts be established? How can it possibly determine whether this was an accident or a deliberate and malicious act? Extremely simple, my lord. I beg your pardon? Isn't that right, Fitness? Sorry, Mick? No, your neighbor. Yes, sir. It was murder, plain and simple. Anyone could state that with complete certainty.
What? How can he possibly think that?
Thank you, Inspector. I think we had better proceed to foremost testimony. You explain to the court on what grounds you claim the experiment to have been the front for murder.
Well, I think this is where I'm going to end it here for today, then. I can save here, right? Yeah. Alright, so we're going to do the testimony next time. We're going to actually do this whole... I'm going to assume we're doing the entire trial in one sitting, but I don't fucking know. These trials are pretty inconsistent on how long they can be. Alright, well, anyways, guys, thank you for watching Great Ace Attorney 2. We're at the trial now, so that's what we're going to do in the next episode. I'm feeling pretty exhausted, so I'm going to probably make something to eat. Even though I already ate like a few hours ago, I think a muffin and tea doesn't really cut it. It's not really that filling. So, well, I mean, it is almost 10 a.m., so I guess it's probably fine. But alright, I will probably... I think I'll see you guys later today. I think we're going to try and get Seb to do a stream of Down Bad Edition, but, you know, who fucking knows if that's even going to happen. But alright, I'll see you guys later. Take care.